Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself.
Yes, sir.
There will be a great separation.
Yes, sir.
So I said it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talk series on the proper handling of people. This is based on the book and subject taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I am applying it here to entrepreneurs and leaders in the world of business. We are now in week 2. This is episode 2 of the series. I'm your host, in case you didn't know, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I'm an international business and real estate developer and consultant and an urban historic preservationist. The mission of my brand is to help those of us in marginalized communities to become happier, healthier, wealthier, and to experience more love. One of the methods includes doing for self, thinking for ourselves, and not being afraid to infuse spirituality into our businesses. I've spent my entire life in business. I've built and managed over $500 million in projects and professional business endeavors, both in the corporate world and a few for myself. I recently added new services to my portfolio that include work in the preservation and hospitality and tourism industry. And my greatest venture is the development of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum and the renovation and restoration of his home. We are working towards the completion of the museum. The finish line is in sight, and we are in a fundraising phase of the project. So to become a sponsor, send us an email, sajdahhouse@gmail.com. That's SAJDAHHOUSE@gmail.com. And to donate or purchase a coin, take a look at the ticker at the bottom of the page. Before we get started, please make sure you like and subscribe to the page and hit the notification button so that you are alerted anytime we go live. And please go back and check out past episodes. Let me see y'all in the chat. I see you, Brother Lamont. Wa alaikum salam. I see you, Sister Alita. Wa alaikum salam. Happy Saturday, sis. Congratulations. Sister Alita has an announcement she's going to be making very soon. I won't spoil the beans. Sister Dawn, wa alaikum salam. Welcome, welcome. And welcome to all of you I see up here in the numbers, but you're not in the chat. What kind of tea or coffee y'all drinking on today? I'm drinking, good morning, Mom. I'm drinking an herbal tea that I made from dandelions and elderberry, like dried dandelions and dried elderberries. Sometimes, I got to be around a lot of people, and I try to just keep my immune system up. And so that's what I'm doing this morning. So it's dandelion. I got dandelion and elderberry, the real herbs. I boiled over. I used some locally grown honey, which is great for allergies and things like that. And dandelion is great for flushing your liver and your kidneys. And I try to make sure I do that at least once a day. Keeps your skin clean and keeps your immune system up, and cuts down on any inflammation. All right. Okay. So welcome everyone. This topic really had me emotional this morning because people can be so mean. And unfortunately, many of us are so traumatized by life that we think being mean is synonymous with being a good business person, or we think it's synonymous with being smart or intelligent. We can't even imagine being nice or supportive and being successful because we still see business and success through the eyes of an abuser and a predator. See, we think the definition of being a boss or a leader is like being a taskmaster or a slave master or a hard driving person, or we think that having money means we have to be hard-hearted. We're so elementary in our understanding of business and money. And this is my effort to kind of help bring us out of some of that. Because, it seems as if with the onset of the internet and automation, that customer service went out the window. Let me know in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. It's like customer service don't even exist no more. People don't even think that they have to be nice anymore. And many companies automate everything. It's so bad that sometimes you get better service from the automated system or the chat option than you do from a real live human being. Then, of course, everybody's outsourcing many services. So you're dealing with, if you're in a company, your HR personnel, or if you're a customer, sometimes even the customer service, you're calling somebody in another country who really is struggling with the language. It's a challenge. So proper handling of people is a niche that I think people will begin to crave, especially as we move into this automated world. Yeah, I agree with you. Walaikum salam, Brother Victor. So humans are social beings. Did y'all know that? We're social animals. And human interaction is important because it trains our brains. It improves our memory formation and recall and protects the brain from neurodegenerative diseases. Social support from family, friends, and community is associated with happiness, fewer health problems, and longer life. A lot of people say, well, you know what? Sometimes my family hates on me, and why does it hurt so bad? I certainly know that reality. It hurts because we're social beings, okay? And conversely, a relative lack of social ties. So if you have no social ties, it's often associated with depression, and later in life, it could be the cause of cognitive decline and increased mortality. According to a study by the American Cancer Society, social connections can offer a number of mental health benefits, such as boosting your mood, reducing stress, and improving self-esteem. Another research suggests that social isolation can contribute to depression, insomnia, and cognitive decline. In fact, social isolation was found to be more harmful than even obesity and smoking. Connecting with others is critical to our survival as a species. So if we have to connect with people in order to live, to move, and be healthy, then properly handling people can give us an edge as leaders and as entrepreneurs. There are many social problems that arise when we do not properly connect with and handle people. Welcome. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Makeda, and walaikum salam, Sister Sandra. So here's some social ailments that can impact us and impact our corporate culture when we don't properly handle people. Proper handling of people includes and assumes a connection with people. So we have to facilitate a connection with others in order to be healthy. And when we connect with other people, we have to know how to handle them. That includes dealing with our traumas. That includes being empathetic. That includes paying attention to what's going on. So let's talk about some of the problems that exist within ourselves and within our corporate cultures when we don't properly handle people. I got 6 of these that I wrote down. Number 1, properly connecting with and handling people is tied to our own personal well-being and our ability to connect with our inner self. When we are disconnected from ourselves, from who we are really, and from our feelings, and when we are not filling ourselves with love through our spiritual connection and connections with others, we create a black hole within. The black hole we've created through our self-abandonment is what that is. It becomes like a vacuum, trying to pull love from others. It's like internally we want the love, but we don't know how to treat people. We become needy, and this neediness tends to push people away. So we end up feeling more unloved. The second social problem that comes from not properly handling people is failed relationships. Proper handling of people can improve our professional and our personal relationships. When we're in business, we have to have relationships with our customers, with our employees, with our vendors, with the community. It's a relationship business, if you will, no matter what industry we're in. Okay. Then there's depression and loneliness, which can set in when we don't properly handle people. Depression is a huge problem in our society, and it's gotten worse since we've become more disconnected with one another. While there are many causes and feelings for depression, one of the causes is disconnection from self and others. Another cause of depressed feelings is social isolation and the resulting loneliness, which is often one of the results of disconnecting from ourselves and then being unable to connect with other people because we don't handle people right. Okay. Then there's the physical illness. See, physical illness can be caused by not properly handling people. Did y'all know that? Because stress is a major cause of illness. When we live our lives disconnected from others, not listening to or taking care to love of our feelings or love others, just disconnected from our personal source or guidance, love and comfort, we can't manage stress well. It's a self-abandonment that causes anxiety and stress. Sometimes when we self-abandon because we give up connections with others, we're just into our phone and social media, it causes anxiety and stress. It activates what they call the fight or flight response. And we've talked about that. And it also increased negativity. It has a negative effect on our immune system. Here's the last two: addiction. Do you know that a lot of addictions come from not properly handling people? When we have not learned how to connect with our feelings and with the love and comfort of our spiritual guidance and interacting with others, we often turn to addictions as a way of managing painful feelings and trust issues. And then lastly, look, violence can be initiated when we don't handle people right. I think we all know that. Disrespecting somebody can even lead to murder. When we have not learned how to fully feel our painful feelings and manage them, listen, some people result in violence. And we see that all too many times in our communities. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and jump right into the proper handling of people. We'll see you on the other side. All right, we're back and you're tuned into the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talk series on the proper handling of people. The goal is to improve our leadership abilities as entrepreneurs. Now let's get into chapter 2 of the proper handling of people. We have a lot of information to cover. I'll take some breaks in between to allow you all to process. This chapter deals with things that are important to people and things business leaders and business owners must be concerned about. Okay, so type in the chat for me, things that are important to people. For something to be considered important to a person, it means that it is something that is of great significance or value, likely to have a profound effect on success, survival, or well-being. The key here is success, survival, and well-being. Type that in the chat. Success, survival, and well-being. So he asked, what things are important to people? Success, survival, and well-being. Many of us are operating from an old business model that was developed by predators during slavery. Let's be honest. We run our businesses with little or no concern for the success of our employees. We don't even care about their hopes, dreams, or whether or not they even feel successful. We restrict their success to how well they perform their duties for us, right? It's a very egoic approach to dealing with those that we are in charge of. Then we disregard their desire to survive. There's spiritual survival. Sometimes we kill people spiritually because we're so mean and so dismissive. Sometimes people can't survive financially. They can't survive. So we have to think about those things. What are those three things? Success, survival, and well-being. Okay. And since we don't often care about their individual survival, because we'll just move around as if they don't like how we handle them, we could care less. They perform their jobs from a vibration of insecurity, which means that they're disengaged. And then let's talk about the well-being of our employees. We want them to be well so that they can show up and make us look good, but we don't care beyond that. And then they're in a mental and physical state of feeling uncomfortable, unhappy, and unhealthy. Now I know what you're thinking, because like you, I had to fish for employees in a pool of people who are victims of predatory capitalism. So they are not of the mind to expect or even respect this type of interaction with you and I. They come to get a paycheck and to do as little as they possibly can for the check they do receive. Sometimes they steal resources like time or other items and feel entitled to do so. And they are disengaged, simply going through the motions. You all have heard me talk about the fact that disengaged employees cost us a lot of money. I did an entire podcast on this. Let me give you one quick fact. Disengaged employees, or people who are disengaged in the organization, who are less committed to their jobs and the company as a whole, they tend to have an apathetic attitude, and they show it in their work by underperforming or by doing the bare minimum work requirements without enthusiasm. And then they use deceptive intelligence to justify why they're doing the bare minimum. Is the staff you work with disengaged? They're just being phony in order to get a paycheck, in order to just say they check the box? Though apathy and indifference are usually key indicators of disengagement, there are more telling ways to determine whether employees are just going through the motions or seeking employment. Let's talk about this a little bit. Disengagement may be caused by a lack of recognition, a lack of feedback, communication, work flexibility, employee development, trust, teamwork, control, autonomy. These are all things that make people become disengaged. Okay. There was a Gallup poll. Gallup has estimated that employee disengagement costs the overall U.S. economy as much as $350 billion every year. That complacency is costing you and I. It's costing our businesses. It's taxing our organizations. How much? According to Gallup, disengaged employees have 37% higher absenteeism, 18% lower productivity, and results in 15% lower profitability. When that translates into dollars, you're looking at the cost of 34% of a disengaged employee's annual salary, or $3,400 for every $10,000 they make. This is why the proper handling of people is so important. See, when you have a process or technique that you use in order to deal with people, then your professional intuition is heightened and you will make better hiring decisions. In other words, you will choose better employees and you will make better management decisions. And it allows us to kind of get into the person a little bit and come up out of ourselves so that we're not so hard and so focused on what we want. Many of us as leaders are dealing with institutionalized people. And being institutionalized is often restricted to people who are imprisoned or incarcerated. But corporations, Nonprofit organizations, religious organizations can breed institutionalism within their culture. It all depends on the leadership. When a person is institutionalized within a particular institution or corporate culture, it often becomes difficult for them to live and think outside the institutional context. Through institutionalization, people get used to definite norms. They behave in a patterned and expected way, and their actions become predictable and regular. So leadership that's not good at leading wants everybody to kind of march the same way. And there are synergies that we have to have within our companies, but we want people to think outside of the box, think outside of the organization. This causes them to become lazy and ultimately disengaged. Until we as leaders design and direct their next move, they'll just sit there. Have you seen employees like that? Where you're like, did you not just see this trash in the floor? But they waiting to see, well, that ain't my job. That ain't something I'm supposed to do. Maybe somebody else is supposed to do it. This is extremely detrimental to the growth and expansion of the organization, because that means that the owner or leaders have to do all the thinking. We're not developing leaders when we lead like this. When we run our businesses and organizations from a space of fear, we're just demanding institutionalization. While organization, policies, processes, systems, and procedures are necessary aspects of the development of our businesses, we must be mindful that the people who we are placing into these systems and processes are human. They're human. They showed up onto the planet for a reason. They have families, they have lives, they have backgrounds that are beyond their duty to us. We have to be mindful of that. So according to the proper handling of teaching as people, as taught to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Things that are important to people's success, survival, and well-being. Yeah, okay. Thank you all for putting that in. Success, survival, and well-being. Thank you, Sister Makita. All right. Proper handling of people. This is chapter 2, number 1. And it said, the book says, people were listed as concerned with the following in order of importance to them. Number 1, security. Type in the chat, security. Security is defined as the state of being free from danger or threat. So people are concerned about their physical security as well as their emotional security. Sometimes our leadership styles create insecure employees. And insecure employees are fearful of making a mistake, so they're very restricted. You know how frustrating it can be to have a bunch of employees working for you who are insecure, but they got to ask you everything every step of the way? As a manager, you will need to analyze whether the employee is reacting to his own fears about his performance or reacting to you and your management style. Do we make snap judgments and fail to understand the conditions of the corporate culture that we've created? Do we listen to their concerns? Do they have access to elders or older employees with more seniority that have matriculated through the organization that can help them to feel motivated or even allow them to see themselves? See, a lot of people are disengaged because they don't see themselves 20 years from now. They act like they're happy while they're there, but they don't see themselves there in the future. So why go above and beyond? Why not just wait for you to tell me what to do? I'm not going to try to do nothing extra. Are we clear and specific as leaders? What do we focus on? So security is key. Here's the second one. Write this in the chat. Treatment by people in authority over them. This is the second thing that people are concerned about in order of importance, according to the proper handling of people as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Authority is a person or organization having power or control in a particular, typically political or administrative sphere. How are these people in charge treating their staff? Treatment is the manner in which someone behaves toward or deals with someone or something. It's how you handle them. How much professional development are you offering to your leadership team? So making people feel insecure, and then if the authority of your organization mistreats the staff, this is a recipe for exact disaster. If you make people feel insecure or you mistreat your staff, it's a recipe for disaster. People would either become disengaged, institutionalized, and go through the motion just to receive a paycheck or whatever they want of value from you. Here's the third thing. Type it in the chat. Relationship to associates. Building an organization where people have relationships with one another is very important. Relationship is the state of being connected. We talked about that, right? We're social beings. If those relationships are nourished, this can encourage the ongoing concern of your business. In my companies, I try to celebrate the birth of people's children, or if their grandchildren have a milestone or their children have a milestone, if they get married or something that's important to them. I try to support them if they lose a family member or something happens. This kind of thing can be facilitated through demonstrating genuine care and concern for your employees and encouraging them to support one another. Checking on each other, supporting the needs of one another, helping them to feel safe to express themselves. Things like gossiping, backbiting, undermining, unhealthy competition, not respecting people's privacy and confidentiality. They come to you as a leader and tell you something, and then next thing you know, you done told everybody else. This just breeds disaster. So fostering healthy relationships is critical. Supporting the life events of your staff builds this type of rapport. Exposing your team to opportunities that they would receive if they were working there is important. If they weren't working there. So what other opportunities can you share with them? Can you bring in another speaker? Your business should be like, can you bring in other speakers? Because your business should be like a second family to your employees. Bring in people from the outside. If your competition isn't doing something, then you think about doing it. Who can you bring in to address your employees? What benefits can you offer them? It used to be back in the day, just having a vending machine with a variety of snacks was all that they had to do to make you feel connected and appreciated. Think about these things. The relationship with the associates. Here's the other one. Number 4, physical surroundings. Physical environments can influence feelings of safety, security, and comfort, or conversely may contribute to feelings of irritation, anxiety, sadness, and insecurity. See, your outlook upon life, your estimate of yourself, your estimate of your value are largely colored by your environment. So what kind of work environment are you creating for people? And even if it's not a physical work environment, what is the virtual work environment that you're creating? You have to put some thought into that. Our physical environment is key to our health. If people can't stand logging on to these Zooms with you, they so sick of you, what is it doing to them? What is that continual resistance or stress causing on the inside of their bodies? Now, you can't control it if they still want to be mean and hateful and cantankerous and all of that. But let's do our part. Let's be conscious about what we put out into the world as leaders and business owners. Think about this when you design your workspace. Include things like sunlight. And I want you to study the science of color and sound. Here's number 5 thing that the 5th thing people are concerned about is treatment by their job. How does the company overall treat its employees? Do we allow our employees to be abused or bullied by other managers or other people in leadership? Do we speak up when we say something? You could have good leadership and a bad company. So you could be the best leader, but you may have a friend or a relative in your business who mistreats people or just doesn't handle people or just doesn't have the empathy that you have. And that could be impacting your company and your corporate culture. I've been there. I've had people come to me and say, Ms. Wendy, I love you, but I just can't work here anymore. See, when the company does not support leadership, it weakens leadership. So you gotta know how to support the leadership, but let them go if they're mishandling people. People will say, I love my boss, but the company was just messed up. The converse is also true. You can have a great company, but bad leadership. If the company hears the grievances of the employees and works to make the right improvements, then the employee will feel valued and heard. Also, what kind of conduct do you and I have as business leaders? As a business consultant, we often had to evaluate the corporate culture and the leadership or the tone at the top. Let's talk about corporate culture for a second. Corporate culture or organizational culture, because I know some of you are running nonprofit organizations. Corporate culture certainly varies among organizations, okay? It's like the personality of your company. Sometimes the tone at the top or the person at the top dictates the culture. Other times, employee attitudes or secondary leadership dictates the culture. You can have bad secondary leadership because maybe you took a good employee and made a bad supervisor or a bad manager because they just weren't ready. There's several types of corporate culture that as consultants, we generally place a company in during our evaluation. Okay. I don't have time to go into them in detail, but here are a few of the names. We'll evaluate, is it a team first culture? Is it an elite culture? Is it a horizontal culture? Is it a conventional culture or a progressive culture? You can look those up. And does your corporate culture reflect the tone of your leadership? Now, tone at the top is often a paragraph that we'd write up when we go in and do a corporate evaluation. Tone at the top is a term that is originated in the field of accounting and is used to describe an organization's general ethical climate as established by its board of directors, audit committee, and senior management. Why is that important? Because it's just like being a parent. You can be a grimy person, and if you think your children don't see it or feel it vibrationally, you're lying to yourself. You can come back in front of them and have that phony attitude and act like everything is all good. But that griminess, whatever it is you're doing behind the scenes, oftentimes gets magnified in the children, and in this case, oftentimes in the employees. So you can always tell what kind of leadership a person has. And I'm not talking about the leadership at the top. I'm talking about the leadership that they serve directly under by looking at the conduct and assessing the vibration of the people that are there in that organization. So having good tone at the top is believed by business ethics experts to help prevent fraud and other unethical practices. What tone are you setting in your business? What kind of tone are you setting? We're going to take a quick break and go to a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. We're back, and you're tuned into the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talk, where we talk about life, love, and business. And today is episode 2 of the proper handling of people. And we're going through the things that are important to employees. And the 6th one that we're going to cover is compensation. People care about compensation, and compensation is not always money, right? It's perks you get on the job. It's the image the social image you may have as a result of working with or for this person. And then, of course, it's compensation. It's one thing to make a lot of money, and I've been there making a lot of money with companies, and then just be treated like crap. And then there may be times where you take less money, but you have less stress. We live in a society that forces people to care about compensation. It costs money to live. And in this country, those without money are often treated like criminals. Compensation is tricky. There are often industry standards that determine salary. Sometimes as a new company, you can't pay the industry standard. So you have to have some intelligence around how you compensate for your lack of ability to compete. So your company or project may just have a mission, and your employees must buy into that mission. And we just allow room for the person to make up for the difference between the industry standards and what we're paying, whether we're reducing the hours of service or helping them to do for self. So you want to offer additional benefits. Some people will say, hey, you know what? I'll take less money if I can have Fridays off so I can go work on my other business, or I can have Fridays off, or I can get off early so I can go to my son's games. It just depends. So we want to think about what other things we offer if we're either not paying people or we're paying something bigger, and then we're paying them less. And then it's important for us as leaders and entrepreneurs to keep up our image. Because you want to be good. You want people to say, oh, you work for so-and-so, so-and-so. So we have to be giving. People got to get more from working from you than it is if they work for somebody else. And so you want to think about that. What are you teaching? How are you training? What are you exposing them to? How are you helping them to build up their resume? And those are ways in which you compensate for maybe not being able to pay them, or maybe not being able to pay them market rate, until you get to the point where you can pay the market rate. Number 7, appreciation of efforts. People care about being appreciated. Type appreciation in the chat. Look, employee appreciation is one of the most important retention strategies that is often used in large corporations. I think multi-level marketing organizations do this the best because these organizations are generally sales-oriented, and they tend to do more than a general corporation when it comes to corporate appreciation. They create these huge, large annual events and banquets and quarterly events and award top performers with prizes and trips and tokens of their appreciation. But you know what? It don't hurt you to have a quarterly dinner with your employees, an annual dinner where you recognize their appreciation. It won't hurt you if you have a year-end dinner and you just say, you know what, I'm going to take everybody out to a restaurant. Or you say, we're going to cater in. Maybe you can't afford a restaurant. You say, you know what, I'm going to call a caterer. And we're going to cater in at this particular time. Maybe it's during the general holiday season, and you recognize people. Other organizations have efforts like Employee of the Month, or they keep a sales board in their office. There's also the technique of meeting with your leadership team often, say weekly, and recognizing the effort of each person, or calling out any extraordinary performances or efforts. Sometimes that you have to do that to address rumors and things that are negative. We live in a world today where everyone gets the proverbial participation trophy. And once we give everybody a participation trophy, nobody cares about the truth. I heard somebody say the other day, who cares about the truth when the lie is more entertaining? Well, these staff meetings are an opportunity for you to address that kind of stuff. What are your customers saying? What are your employees saying? What's happening? What's the word? You get that from staying in touch with your people and giving them a safe space to have a conversation. All right. Number 8 is incentives. We talked in the previous point about companies that offer big performance incentives. And incentive is a thing that motivates or encourages one to do something. And your corporate mission can also be used as an incentive, but incentives are also important to employees. Number 9 is benefits. Many people see incentives and benefits as interchangeable. A benefit is an advantage or a profit gained from something. But generally in the business world, benefits often consist of things like insurance or retirement plans, where an incentive consists of prizes, maybe bonuses. Benefits are not as difficult to offer your employees as you think. I think a good financial advisor like my sister and business partner, Sajdah Muhammad, who's here in the chat, can help you with benefits for your company. She can help you become more competitive as a business owner. Benefits can be offered within churches, mosques, nonprofit organizations, small businesses. Don't take the attitude that it's too important, especially it's not too important, especially when it's something that you can actually offer and it'll help you. So don't hesitate to offer benefits to people, to your employees, and don't worry about how small you are. More than likely, there's a program out there. Here's number 10. Pay attention to complaints. Don't blow off complaints. Type that in the chat. Do not blow off complaints. Are you always complaining about the entitlement mindset of customers and staff and diminishing their complaints and concerns? You know how we go, these people just entitled. They want the world, But you better listen to those complaints and concerns. Listen to them from your customers, from your staff, okay? They can help you gain valuable insight into the mindset of the complainer. They don't always have to be right. You got to make them think they're valuable, but they don't always have to be right. But this can help you tweak your strategy by including more education or even making changes as necessary. Some people complain because they just don't understand. But when you explain the process, then they get it. That employee that is complaining may very well be a person with a dormant leadership skill that can assist with quality improvement and help you prevent fraud and collusion. But you won't know until you listen. A lot of us shy away from listening to employee complaints because sometimes they're overwhelming. But here are 4 different types of employee complaints. I want to break this down. Understanding the type of complaint can help you to categorize them and devise an efficient way to process and deal with them. Okay. So I want to spend a little time on dissecting complaints. Okay. According to Harvard Business Review, different types of complaints, okay, have different underlying intents, both conscious and unconscious, and downstream effects when faced with complaints from employees. There are people who are productive complainers. Type in the chat, productive complainers. Productive complaints are made with the intention of bringing to light and improving an undesirable situation. So they're productive, but they're complaining. They want to help you improve it. Productive complaints are referred to as voice. A lot of corporate people say it's a voice. It's the voice of the employees or the voice of the culture. Okay. And they can give you valuable feedback that's necessary to change or tweak practices or behaviors that are harming the organization and to improve processes, products, and services. For example, employee complaints about a lack of natural light, for example, in the office. Or let's say you're just giving them an unsustainable workload. Or let's say you introduced a new product or service that's just not functional. Or let's say there's another team member whose behavior is just inappropriate. They can highlight potential problems and generate ideas for positive change. That's what a productive complainer does. And to a manager or a leader who's willing to listen, productive complaints can offer valuable information and highlight problems that need to be addressed early before they spread through the organization. See, when we don't address problems, it becomes like a cancer. That's a whole nother conversation. Another form of complaint is venting. Y'all know what venting is? Venting is an emotional form of complaining where the individual, oftentimes vigorously, expresses their dissatisfaction about someone or something to others. The typical intent behind venting is to release bottled up stress or frustration, or to seek allies, for example, to simply feel heard and acknowledged, or generate support and buy-in for a particular issue. On the positive side, emotional venting can provide temporary relief from stress. Suppressing negative emotions keeps our physiological activation high, which can have negative cognitive and health effects, such as increasing our chances for cardiovascular disease. So venting to a trusted colleague or a coach or a counselor can foster feelings of social support, decrease loneliness, and also help us gain perspective on a situation in a safe space before it's escalated. With that said, venting puts a double burden on the listener. First, to receive and handle the complainer's negative emotions, and second, to then deal with their emotions or shared dissatisfaction with the issue. If this persists, it can result in exhaustion. So as a leader, sometimes you're just exhausted because you're just hearing everybody just vent. And sometimes you shut down. And you got to make sure you go and get your healing and get your counseling, and that you go to somebody that you can vent to. Here's another type of complaint. Some people are just chronic complainers. It's called chronic complaining. Some people seem to complain about everything. They complain about the room temperature. They complain about their salary. They complain about the manager. They complain about the color, the artwork, the cafeteria. They just complain. And chronic complainers often have a more pessimistic or critical view of their role, their work, and the world around them. In this case, complaining reflects a mindset or an attitude. So when you see somebody who's just constantly complaining, that's a habit. It's a habitual thinking that is a mindset or an attitude. And it may not necessarily even be an objective problem. They're just a complainer. But the social costs of this behavior are very high, because listening to a chronic complainer will zap the energy of the other employees and those around them, often quickly. Okay, so it just increases the stress of other people. One upside of the chronic complainer is that these trouble finders can help surface potential red flags before they become widespread. So they have value too. So for example, when introducing a new work from home policy, a chronic complainer might offer the first insight into potential weak areas of the policy, because they're actually looking through the new thing to find something wrong, because they're a chronic complainer. So you can pay attention to those as well. Here's the last one. And this one I think is the most dangerous. It's a malicious complainer. See, malicious complaining is a destructive form of complaining that's used to undermine colleagues, managers, bosses, leadership, and gain some type of advantage, some kind of personal gain, rather than dissatisfaction from an organizational issues, lies at the heart of this behavior. People become malicious oftentimes when they get jealous of leadership, or they're jealous of other employees. Some people just have trauma and they're hurt, and they go around hurting people. And so their complaining is malicious. It's a hard-heartedness where they're backbiting and nibbling at your employees. It's different from chronic complaining. However, malicious complaints serve the self of the person that's complaining at the expense of other people. Now, the chronic complainer might just be talking, and that has its place too in terms of harming the organization. But that malicious complainer is intentional. And this type of complaining is often associated with gossip, backstabbing, slandering people, If someone makes unfounded or exaggerated complaints or speaks against others with, sometimes it's unconscious, but with intent to harm their reputation or career or to increase their own status through some type of social comparison, you got to take action quickly as a leader about this person. This type of person and this type of complainer rarely has an upside, and it can create a toxic and psychologically unsafe work environment. It can lower your team morale and negatively impact the productivity if it proliferates. And a lot of times these malicious complainers are so slick, they will go around biting on your employees and you wondering, what's wrong with everybody? Why everybody acting weird? But it's really a lot of times these people. All right, so let's move on. We're gonna move past that. The next thing that's important to employees is the opportunity for advancement. Career advancement, to get a new opportunity, a new chance to do something new. It's the process by which professionals across industries use their skill sets and determination to achieve new career goals and more challenging job opportunities. Nobody should be left in the same position without the opportunity of advancement. Why is this so important? This is just corporate organization 101. Giving people the opportunity for advancement prevents mediocrity and job dissatisfaction. Sometimes when you got a manager that's been there so long, they may be great at controlling the natives per se, but how good are they at moving your organization forward? A lot of times they're there, but they're really dissatisfied in their job. They're there, they do a good job, they're loyal to you, they say all the right things, but they're really dissatisfied. And their dissatisfaction, trust me, is trickling down to your employees. Here's another reason why opportunities for advancement are important. They give the employees something to work towards. And it shows that you are encouraging them to continue pursuing their dreams and seek out new opportunities. I don't care who it is. I don't care if you're working for the top billionaire in the world. You still want to know that your dreams are heard and that you matter and that that there are other opportunities. You can use deceptive intelligence to say that that's not the case, but trust me, in leadership, you want to make sure that you touch base with your management staff to help them to define out, what do you want to do next? What did you always want to do before you got into this management position? What other things can I offer you? Because they've already proven through their longevity that they're loyal. So it's not going to hurt you to maybe move them into something else. Here's the other thing that opportunities for advancement does. It allows them to increase their salary or compensation. So if they produce more, you should be able to give them more. It also prevents the organization from becoming stagnant. You see, you got the same old manager, the same old people doing the same old thing year in and year out. It's only natural that the organization is going to become stagnant unless you begin to introduce new stimuli into the organization. And how do you do that? Sometimes your mission may stay the same. So we're not talking about you changing your employee mission. Maybe the products remain the same, but what do? Maybe give them new things to look forward to. Help them to inject new energy into the organization. What's next? What do you want to do? I know you've been here 30 years, but what's important to you? I go into companies sometimes and they say, oh, this is my manager. She's been here 27 years. And there's some sister in the back. She looking all tired. She there. She going to show up on time, but she don't have a lot of enthusiasm. She's kind of a Debbie Downer. She's nice, but she's just not uplifting. And sometimes that's a source of stagnation. They're there. They're consistent, but they're tired. They don't necessarily want to be there. Why are they tired? They got enough rest last night, but it's because they probably got some dream, some desire, something in their head that they want to do. And as leaders, we got to be able to recognize that. And even I would say for us as people, we work in a company like that and we've been there for a long time. You should be trying to put something new in the mix. You should be thinking about, what do I want? What more do I want? What did I show up? See, this kind of thing is that creates jealousy. Because you got that person, that manager in the kitchen, for example, the cook staff they've been back there frying them pancakes for you for 30 years. And they seem like they like frying pancakes, but here come another person that comes in and they matriculate on through your organization and you making over them because they're all excited. But that person that's been your pancake maker, they really wanted to own a pancake company. Sometimes your next business venture or your next outreach as an organization is sitting right up inside of that person that's been embedded in the organization for a number of years. Maybe you have a restaurant, you serve breakfast. This person been making pancakes for you for 30 years, and you talk to them and they say, I always wanted to have my own pancake company. I wanted to serve instant pancakes. That might be a business pivot for you. That might be an additional opportunity for your company right there within that employee that's been sitting up inside of your business for all those years. So don't be so closed-minded. All right. And the last thing that are important to people, according to the proper handling of people, is the opportunity to make suggestions. The opportunity to make suggestions. Create and look, before I even talk about this, I know sometimes y'all say, look, I don't want to hear it. Trust me, I have a project, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad Museum, where everybody got a suggestion. Everybody got something to say. I get emails all the time. People talk to me, and some of it's good, some of it's not, and it can be a lot. But you want to create an opportunity for your team to make suggestions. Sometimes people have suggestions and they're good ones. Sometimes their suggestions are just a way to couch complaints. Sometimes their suggestions are just a way for them to express that they appreciate what you're doing in your business and they wish they could have done it. Oftentimes they aren't privy to some of your other strategic components. So they're complaining, but we only see things from where we are. So they're not privy for the other strategic components that you've incorporated into your calculations. You might be moving a certain way because you got a whole bunch of other things that you got to consider. And you don't necessarily want to share those hidden influences. But depending on who the person is, you may want to sit them down and say, hey, here's some of the things that I have to consider as I'm making certain moves. So while you're seeing me and you may be complaining about me, or you may feel like you got all these suggestions, let me help you understand where I'm coming from and why this is important. Because in business and with any project or organization, there's always stuff happening behind the scenes that you don't see. All right. Before we go into this last part, I just want to check in with y'all. Let's see how y'all doing. Let me give y'all a quick break. Or do y'all want to keep going? We only got a little bit left. So just a few more minutes and we'll be done. I know we're going over today, but this is an important subject. The last thing in the proper handling of people, it says, what are the things that laborers or business owners in this context should be concerned with? Number one, what should you be concerned with as a business owner when we kind of talk about the proper handling of people? What additional things should you be concerned with? Job progress, okay? The leaders of your business and even you should be concerned about progress. How are you progressing as a business owner? What factors are indicators of progress? Things like, how's your revenue? How's your customers feel? How many units have you sold? What's the attendance like? How are people matriculating through the organization? Number two, how to do your job. Congratulations to those of you who have listened to this entire podcast, because we should always be learning and searching for ways in which we improve how to do our jobs. That's what we should be concerned about as business owners. Number 3, what are your plans and results? So what does our bottom line look like? And does your leadership understand the correlation between the behaviors we just discussed and the mission? And lastly, people, you should be concerned about recognition of achievement. Think about recognizing not only yourself, but people for what they've achieved. You can give them credit for doing a good job. You can advance them. You can just have good relationships with people. You can show them that you consider their job to be important. Okay, so that's chapter 2 of the proper handling of people. Tune in next week for episode 3. I'll put together some videos and some stuff for us to just consider. Let me know in the chat if you enjoyed this, if you like this series, if you got anything out of it. This is one of those ones that you may want to go back. Somebody said, Rolando Best said, it's me with Black women on jobs. They think they can talk down to you and don't let them have a little power. Yeah. Sometimes, insecure, if a person is insecure and they get a little power, they can abuse that power. And I think sometimes it's really sad. And a lot of us, even though we are in corporate, we have this sort of way in which we think we have to, this is for us sometimes as women, we think we have to mimic men in business. And when we mimic men in business, a lot of times it's white men in business that we're mimicking. So we mimic the abuse, we mimic the boss up, we mimic the masculine behavior, and it becomes like a Trojan horse, Rolando, to those of you who are looking at us when we act like that. Because when you see us, you're thinking, you should be thinking, okay, it's a sister. She seemed like she's gonna be cool. But when you meet us and we open up and we act like these masculine, hardcore men, that's not good. There's ways that you can boss up and keep your femininity. You don't have to have an abusive mentality in order to boss up. You can say no with a smile. You can handle people properly and still support the mission of the company. So this is something I hear a lot of brothers make that complaint, that oftentimes, and sometimes the sisters, we think, well, no, they just got a problem with me as a woman. Sometimes they do, but sometimes we got a problem because we think we bossing up by having an attitude and being negative and just being mean. I work with sometimes women in different organizations, and let's say we do a 3-way or we go to a restaurant, I'll hear the snippiness and the attitude with people. Well, no, I want this, and no, I got to have it this way. Or no, you're not going to tell me what to do. There's just all this declaration. When I get on the phone with you, I already know that I'm in charge of me. I already know that you're not going to tell me what to do. And so even if you think that's what you're doing, I don't have to act like that. I don't have to come up out of myself. I can still be me and still be open and affirmative, and I can still be a boss. You don't have to act like a jerk in order to be a boss. Okay? It's important to properly handle people. And I guarantee you those people who are acting like that on a consistent basis, they're not happy. They're not happy. They're using deceptive intelligence to justify that. They're mimicking, they're acting out of trauma, and they're mimicking people who have abused them or people that they've watched in business. But it's not necessary. So thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. Okay, y'all. I'm glad you all like it. Thank you all for giving this great feedback. I really appreciate it. So stay tuned. Hopefully you all have all liked and subscribed to the page. Don't forget, don't chip and dip me. Y'all see the Cash App going across the bottom. We're giving you information, and generally, I just saw somebody the other day that was charging like $499 per episode for a series on customer service, and we're giving you top level information. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, they don't have the receipts that I have. Sister Makeda gave a long, she said, thank you for sharing. I also enjoyed your short video on the spirit of contentiousness that I believe coincides with this message on the proper handling of people, because this guide of sincerely implemented will help us to destroy that spirit of contentiousness that our beloved brother Jabril spoke on. Thank you for helping to resurrect the dead in all of us. Wow, what a beautiful compliment. Thank you, sis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for loving the vibe. I appreciate y'all. Look, this is all about us just sharing information. I had somebody tell me I had a little event around my birth anniversary, and somebody I ran into yesterday said, man, the vibe at that event, the conversations that was happening around that table were fire. And I said, I cannot wait to replicate what we do here in person. So we just want to create these beautiful, safe environments for us to learn. So, all right, you all, enjoy your Saturday. Do something good for somebody today. Don't chip and dip me. Support the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum, or just go to the Cash App and support the platform and the network. Y'all see it going across the bottom, how you can support the museum. We're working towards completion, and we really, really need your help. All right, y'all. We'll see you all on Thursday. I don't know who the guest is, but we have a guest on Thursday, and we'll be back next Saturday, inshallah, for episode 3 of the proper handling of people. Peace and blessings.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible...
Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite MOEToday shows.